Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of our Champion Spotlight, where we're going to tell you about Talaria's latest star. She's tough, she's rowdy, and she's ready to pummel the Dark Lord's ugly mug into submission. Let's give it up for Ronda. Yes, the Ronda Rousey heeded the call and has joined the Banner Lords in their fight for Talaria. Of course, a fighter of her caliber couldn't be anything less than a legendary champion. Want to know why? Let's take a glance at her skills. Ever heard of a 1-2 punch? Ronda takes that concept a step further with her default skill, Flaming Flurry. That has her socking her opponent with 3 jaw-shattering punches. If that target happens to be below half health after the 3rd punch, Ronda adds another punch for good measure. It's a fairly simple skill as far as mechanics go, but it hits hard, and it'll be incredibly useful against the Fire Knight and any other foes that need you to strike in quick succession. Ronda's second skill is Phase Rushdown, and this is where things get wild. Ronda projects her Burning Spear to deliver a brutal 3-hit attack, which is already super awesome. Well, not only does this skill ignore enemy shields and 30% of their defense, but Ronda also places an irresistible block passive skills debuff before attacking, and then an irresistible block active skills debuff afterwards. Up until now, Ramantu Drake's Blood was the only champion who could block passive skills. And if you don't remember why that's a huge deal, let me refresh your memory. Let's look at some of the dangers you face in PvP. Mighty Akko, constantly stealing your buffs. Ronda's got it. Tormund, frozen your champions? No problem, she'll melt his face. Need to revive someone, but there's Lydia on the other team? No longer an issue. In short, there are plenty of passive skills that can turn the tide of battle, especially in the arena, and Ronda is one of the only 2 champions in the entire game who can do something about them. Not to mention, she also deletes a huge chunk of enemy HP and ignores shields. That's what I call a legendary skill. But we're not even close to being done. Fury Tremor is another amazing skill, and though it's an AoE attack that hits like a truck carrying nothing but bricks, its true value lies in its passive effect. While Fury Tremor is off cooldown, Ronda is completely immune to turn meter reduction, and even after using the skill, any turn meter reductions are decreased by 50%. That's an ability only some of the toughest raid bosses have, and if you've watched our Raid 101 video on the turn meter, you will know exactly how powerful this passive effect is. Needless to say, Ronda will be kicking ass and taking names in the arena. Though she's not quite as fast as Lissandra or the Arbiter, she still packs a solid 101 base speed. Coupled with her immunity to turn meter reduction, Ronda's got a solid chance to fly in and knock out whatever dastardly plans your opponent has lined up. This isn't forgetting its utility in PvE either, especially against trickier bosses. Finally, Ronda has a passive skill of her own, In Your Corner. It gives her a chance to tag in on an ally's attack and bring some extra pain. Forget the steel chair, here comes the flaming fist. It also gives Ronda a pretty solid shield at the start of each round, which is also a nice boost to her survivability. All in all, simple but very effective. So, as you can see, Ronda will be a great champion for both PvE and PvP battles. Her ability to block passive and active skills and immunity to turn meter reduction makes her instrumental in countering many powerful arena builds, and she can inflict eye-watering amounts of damage. However, she doesn't bring many other buffs or debuffs of her own to the table, so she'll have to be paired with other champions to make for a devastating team composition. One thing to remember is the timing of Fury Tremor. Better hold it for after enemy turn meter manipulators use their big skill. Otherwise, let it rip and smash some skulls. Another big bonus, since neither of the debuffs Ronda inflicts with Phase Rushdown can be resisted, you don't have to worry about her accuracy. Instead, focus on boosting her speed and her damage stats to maximize Ronda's potential. Artifacts that boost attack, crit rate, and crit damage will be your best friends. As you might have guessed already, Ronda will be part of a special chase event. All you have to do to recruit her is log into Raid for 7 days between now and February 28th, but you'll want to hurry. Once this chase is done, Ronda's not going to join the summoning pool, so this is your only chance to add her to your collection. When it came to creating the champion, we worked closely with Ronda, both on the visual design of her armor and the core idea of her skills. Better yet, we even recreated the outfit in great detail thanks to the wonders of 3D printing, and had Ronda becoming her Raid alter ego for her promo video. Let's hear from Ronda about how it felt seeing a fantasy version of herself come to life.
I've had other games kind of do little tributes to me, like World of Warcraft did an NPC. You can find her in Pandaria. And then Guacamelee did like a little character that was based on me, and then it was like kind of cute. But I never actually had a playable fantasy character, and I'm like such a big nerd when it comes to like Lord of the Rings lore that involves like orcs and elves and all these different things. So to actually be a playable character in the fantasy genre is an actual fantasy for me, and so it's just completely unreal. And to be like wearing it and being it, I have an awesome life, what can I say?
Ronda was involved with thinking up the concept for her character and skills. How did she feel about the final product?
I love the fact that the gauntlets are a weapon because I am a weapon, of myself. And the armor has, some gladiator inspirations and some Scottish Highland Rowdy Piper, inspirations, and there's a couple like samurai nods in here. And since judo came from Bushido warfare, and that's what samurais used to use.
Of course, Ronda's career in judo, MMA, and WWE called for hand-to-hand fighting. But why is she punching people instead of flipping or throwing them? Fortunately, she had an answer.
Well, the original jiu-jitsu that got organized into judo as a sport later on. And the reason there is no striking in judo is why are you gonna punch or kick somebody wearing armor? And so judo was actually a fighting style for people wearing armor. And but you can punch people when you're wearing armor when you have flaming gauntlets, which is why we have flaming gauntlets as my weapon, because I've always wanted to punch somebody so hard that it goes through armor. And so here we are.
Most importantly, will we get to see Ronda playing as herself in Raid anytime soon?
You can check me out streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and you will definitely be seeing me play as myself on stream as soon as I come available.
And that's it for this special spotlight. As always, hit like and subscribe, and don't miss your chance to get Ronda. Until next time, happy raiding.